The rising sun painted the eastern sky in shades of crimson as thousands of soldiers stood upon a blood-soaked battlefield. Broken shields, shattered swords, and fallen banners lay scattered across the ground, marking the end of a fierce battle that had lasted through the night. The center of the battlefield rode a man dressed in shining silver armor, his white cape fluttering proudly in the morning wind. A golden crown rested upon his head as every soldier lowered their weapons in respect. He was King Christopher Lord, ruler of the mighty Keika kingdom, claimed, restoring trade and protecting innocent people from warlords and bandits. Behind him marched more than 10,000 loyal warriors. At the front rode General Archon, his most trusted commander. Archon halted his mount beside the king, announcing that the enemy ruler had formally surrendered and knelt in the mud, begging for royal mercy. Christopher slowly dismounted from his white horse. The defeated king lowered his head in despair, offering his life and kingdom to the conqueror. Christopher stepped forward through the mud and lifted the fallen ruler's blade from the ground. Christopher handed the sword back to the defeated king. "Keep your sword," Christopher decreed. "A true king protects his people before protecting his pride. Rule wisely, and never raise your blade against the innocent again." Christopher mounted his stallion once more, staring somberly toward the horizon. When Archon asked what troubled him amid such glory, Christopher confessed that despite conquering nations and building grand cities, no child waited in his palace to inherit his life's work. The following morning, Christopher slipped away from the palace without guards or generals. Whenever his mind was troubled by politics, he preferred riding alone into the vast ancient forests surrounding the realm. His white stallion galloped along narrow woodland trails as sunlight filtered through towering canopies and birds sang above. For the first time in many days, the weight of the crown lifted, and Christopher felt genuine calm. The peaceful morning did not last. Dark, suffocating clouds gathered overhead as cold winds bent the tall trees. Within moments, thunder shook the forest floor and blinding lightning cracked across the black. Christopher fought desperately to control his frightened mount. Another deafening bolt struck nearby, sending the terrified stallion rearing into the air before bolting wildly through the dense, blinding storm. Heavy branches struck Christopher as the beast raced through the tempest. Losing his balance, he was thrown violently from the saddle, his body rolling across the muddy earth before crashing hard against the roots of an ancient. Far beyond the royal borders, deep within the heart of the wild forest, lived a. Through the mist, Leia noticed the motionless figure lying among the tangled tree roots. She rushed forward through the drenched ferns, kneeling beside the injured stranger with deep concern in her eyes. "Can you hear me? Please, wake up," a soft voice echoed through the silence. Christopher slowly forced his eyes open, his blurred vision settling on the graceful face of the maiden. Leia entered carrying a warm bowl of soup, laughing softly when the king proclaimed that her simple vegetable meal tasted better than a royal feast. There was no greed or fear in her eyes. To her, he was merely a hurt traveler. Far beyond the lands of Keika, where no human dared to venture, something ancient still remained. Hidden beneath the mountains, a forgotten dragon slowly opened its eyes. For centuries, its existence had been nothing more than a legend. But now, the legend was awakening. The Kingdom of Keika had survived its enemies. Yet the greatest danger had never been defeated. And somewhere in the darkness, the dragon was waiting. Far beyond the lands of Keika, where no human dared to venture, something ancient still remained. Hidden beneath the mountains, a forgotten dragon slowly opened its eyes. For centuries, its existence had been nothing more than a legend. But now, the legend was awakening. The Kingdom of Keika had survived its enemies. Yet the greatest danger had never been defeated. And somewhere in the darkness, the dragon was waiting.
The story doesn't end here. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tap the bell icon to keep the fire burning for our next adventure.